That's where our beloved community starts to grow. And if you are looking for a beloved community, a place where it's safe to ask all your spiritual questions, do your spiritual exploration here, meet people who are on a similar journey as you, you may have found your new church home. Welcome. But the winter solstice is a dark time. And it's a time for many earth-based religions to focus on self-reflection. It's a time for stillness, and it's a time to make plans for the future. So, in this darkness, in this stillness, if we could find a stillness together, it will make us stronger when the light does reappear in the spring. Oh, and one thing that has not changed, whoever you are, whyever you have come, you are welcome here. And thank you to all the new people. Good to have you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gresham, and I have been coming to this church since 2007. One of the first worship services I ever had the opportunity to work with was a winter solstice celebration, and so I'm pleased to be able to join you today to help with this winter solstice celebration this morning. Please be sure to check out the UU St. Pete Weekly for announcements of the many things happening at the church. This week has been a difficult week for many people. Our hearts and thoughts go out to the people facing losses in Kentucky. And may these people facing challenges at this time find peace.
Thank you, Morgan. Thank you so much. That was lovely.
Good morning. I'm John Motter and proud to be a member of this church. Now's the time for our chalice lighting and covenant, and I've asked Rebecca Wilson to please come forward and light her chalice. If you could read along with me or follow along with me. The Christmas tree's hiding. Remember last last week
John
they said
Davis.
practice some patience. It's one of those times. There you go.
He's a timekeeper.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help all that we can.
The next thing we're going to do joys and sorrows a little bit differently today. As you know, we have experimented with a few different ways to keep the congregation safe and still be able to express themselves. And so let me explain how we're going to do this. In our ongoing attempts for the best experience for everyone watching from home, there will be some changes to how we share our joys and sorrows. And I encourage all of you all have suggestion cards in your pews, and if you're at home, feel free to send us a suggestion if you let us have some feedback on what you think of this. In order to give everyone a fair opportunity, we are going to ask you to try to limit your joys and sorrows to just 1 or 2 sentences. I know sometimes that can be very hard, and if you think you're going to have trouble limiting them, feel free to share them with Reverend Ben. He'd be happy to hear from you. We will also be televising the joys and sorrows this time instead of flashing up a blank screen for the people at home. Well, it's not really blank, but you get the picture. Got the picture. Yeah. So if you do not want your joy and sorrow to be televised, let one of us know, and we will wave to Kelly down there, keeping track of the camera, and she will prevent your joy and sorrow from being televised. If you do not make a decision before you start talking, it might be a little too late for privacy if you don't feel comfortable sharing. Also, if you are able to do so, we invite you to line up on the side along the pews, just like we used to do. Just have to keep your mask on, stay about 6 feet apart so we're safe, and we will call you up one at a time so that you can tell us your joy and sorrow. Joy will be holding onto the microphone, and Morgan will be placing the stones in the water for you. Every week you will be provided an opportunity to send these in to the office ahead of time. And if you would like it done that way, we also have that option available. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Bryce Scott. I've been a happy member of this church for 3 or 4 years, I guess. This is more of an awareness for all of you that last night we were scammed on our credit card. People up in New York using our credit card. Just be aware it's happening. We don't even know them. We have no idea how they did it, but it was done. Yeah.
Especially during the holiday season. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Good morning, I'm Virginia Fox, and on behalf of Cal, my husband and I are on a joy that I'd like to share with you, which is basically to thank everybody in this congregation and those at home who are a part of the projects that Cal and I work on, social justice. The Undies and Socks Sunday Drive is incredibly successful, and thank you all for donating. And our monthly Southside Food Drive is going very well thanks to people at home who have their collection boxes and the whole team. This is an amazing church for giving. Thank you.
And you can find details in the weekly newsletter that comes out.
My name is Sula Donovan. Most of you know me because I have been part of the church for 12 years. And mine is a request. I don't have a family here. My daughter is now in London and is going to stay there for a month. And so I'm asking if one of the families here could have me for Christmas, because I would not like to spend alone. It's a hard time to spend alone. So if somebody can do that, please talk to me, and I'll be happy to participate in your family. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kimberly Weiss. I'm back after a very long absence, and I'm very glad to be back. I would also like to tell you that my husband, Caleb King, some of you may remember him, would have loved to have been here today, but he's riding a little rough lately, so if you could keep him in your prayers. Thank you.
I'm Joanne. My stone is for hope for a better week coming. I just came off the week from hell. 2 a.m. Wednesday morning, I fell in the bathroom and suffered a concussion. I'm doing better, but I'm not quite there yet, but I'm hoping to go to work for at least part of the day tomorrow.
I hope you feel better for me.
Good morning, I'm Sabina. A joy is seeing Mr. Cal Fox here, overcoming pretty horrendous health challenges and still making amazing accomplishments on our kitchen. I don't know if you have seen that. That's not what I planned to say. But a joy and concern. This past Friday, we had a very powerful event in our playground. Music was made possible by John and James. Pastor Ben was there, and a few members, and we honored and called out the names of the 103 known unsheltered people who died this past year. So, bless their souls.
Thank you, Sabine. Is there anybody else in the audience that needs to come out to them? So with that, the final stone will be placed for those joys or concerns that are too close to the heart to share out loud at this time. Thank you. Our first reading is called Broken Shell Song, and comes from Reverend Teresa Soto's book, Spilling the Light. When I was a child, someone told me that if you had a seashell, hold a seashell to your ear, you can hear the ocean. When I was in middle school, I learned that what you hear is not the ocean. It's just the blood rushing through your ears, and that's fine. But I still wonder if a broken seashell has any kind of good song. The song of half a wave might be the measure of grief, the Bay of Fundy when it is empty, the bacteria flats in Yellowstone, streaming copper and blue smelling sulfur, and somehow a cradle of life. Anglets of kelp forest. Even mostly empty, the ocean cannot help but brim with tokens of aliveness, reminders of beauty and the plain, unabashed assurance that broken things, seashells, people, and times of love, have beauty all their own. If we can dance in the offbeat, we can stand a little grip with the gorgeous gifts of this wide world. Thank you.
Please hum along. Please hum along.
Thank you, John. Now it's time for our story of the ages. What better place to find stillness than in a starry night sky? For thousands of years, people have been looking to the stars. In fact, the stars have become symbolic of the dreams that we hold. Reach for the stars. Hitch your wagon to a star. Hang a star upon your dressing room door. When I was a kid, my mom used to tell me if I closed my eyes tight enough, I could see the stars. Go ahead, try it now. If you close your eyes, you just kind of squint, and you see like all these little dots of light behind your eyelids. Kind of reminds you of the stars, doesn't it? I don't know. When you're 8 years old, everything sparks the imagination. 500 years ago, a man was born in Poland named Copernicus. And he watched the stars and planets as they revolved around his night sky. And he used his observations to come up with a very interesting but a very upsetting theory for some people. You see, most people thought that the universe revolved around the Earth. They also thought that the stars were little holes in a glass ball that encircled the Earth too. Copernicus thought, what if the universe doesn't move around the Earth? What if the Earth moves around the universe? He wrote a book about this idea, but it wasn't very popular. In fact, if he hadn't died soon after, he probably would have been put in jail. But today we know what Copernicus was trying to say. And he was right. Our Earth is a planet that circles the sun. It took hundreds of years for people to believe them. For all those years, the belief that the universe revolved around the Earth, it was so embedded in people's minds that they couldn't accept a new possibility. When Copernicus said, this isn't how it's happening, they thought he was attacking their religion. There's a word for that. It's called heresy. That meant that not just scientists, but anyone who disagreed with the church could get in a lot of serious trouble. They didn't see the possibilities. They had closed their minds. That's why it's so important that we think about our principle number 4, which is to search for spiritual truth and meaning. Because we may see with similar eyes, we may sense things with similar minds, or hear similar words, But our perception of the truth is unique to each one of us. In fact, that uniqueness makes us infinitely blessed. And you could say that the joy we find in nature is also unique to each one of us. And now we will hear another special song.
Fire is burning, the long night draws near. All who need comfort are welcome by here. The dead see the stars and toast the past year, for the spirit of solstice is still living here. We'll count all our blessings while the mother lays down, with snow as her blanket covering the ground. Thanks to the mother for the light that she brings to awaken, to warm us again in the spring. The poor and the hungry, the sick and the lost, these are our children, no matter the cost. Come, light a fire, the harvest to share, for the spirit of solstice is still living here. Fire meets burning, draws all night, draws near. All who need comfort are welcome by day. The stars and toast the past year, for the spirit of solstice is still living here. The spirit of solstice is still living here.
Spirit of solstice is still living here. Remember when I talked about beloved communities earlier? That takes hard work. Not everyone is able to do the work, but we hold space for those who have trouble with it. There is always space in our church. There is far more darkness at the solstice than there is daylight. But sometimes we need the darkness. I mean, you think about it. What do we do in the darkness? We dream, we wish, we plan, we rest, we become patient, we plan for the next day or the next phase of life. The darkness is just as sacred as the light. So why do we always talk about the returning of the light? Maybe we should think about the returning of the darkness a little bit too. Without the darkness, we wouldn't see the stars. My Celtic ancestors believed that during these dark days, you should seek within. Just as the cold kept them indoors, huddled in front of their fires, trying to stay warm, just thinking ahead to the next day when it might be a little bit warmer. They sought peace in their thoughts while they awaited that sunshine to warm them up again. And nature's enforced isolation isn't a whole lot different than what we went through with COVID, when you think about it. I mean, we were isolated, we were cut off a little bit. You know, we had to stay in our homes, and we appreciate those who are watching us from their homes now, who are still feeling a bit isolated. But rather than mourn our time away from each other, for myself, I've chosen to look ahead because I knew these in-gatherings would come again. And I've chosen to do the work that I can on myself. There's a quote by a man, perhaps you've heard of it before. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, keep moving forward. Now that some of us may be rolling forward, but we're moving forward constantly. And we are going to put this time behind us with the hope and the stillness and the plans and the prayers that Solstice reinvigorates. I've been asked to talk to you about finding joy in nature at the Solstice. And I can tell you right here, I mean, growing up in New Hampshire, I was accustomed to long, dark winters, long, cold winters. So my experience with nature was shoveling nature out of my driveway. My experience with nature was shoveling nature's icy crust off the windshield so I could go to work. And then there's the mom shouting from inside the house, "Shut the door, you're letting the cold air of nature in." I'm shivering just thinking about that kind of nature. Not the best experience with nature. But there is one thing that's always been constant, and that's been the sun. The sun has always been warm and bright and radiant, and I always knew one day that that warm sun would conquer the cold and make the earth green again. I just had to keep moving forward. The Gaelic name for winter solstice is Alban Arterton, which means the light of Arthur or the light of winter. Now Arthur doesn't just refer to the legendary king in Camelot. The root of that word, art, is also bear, and it referred to the Great Bear constellation, which appears in the northern sky. Here we are, after looking at those stars. A dream, a wish, a hope, so many things those stars symbolize. A sun that could conquer the coldest winters. Starlight, star bright. I still look for the first star at night. Do you? My ancestors developed stories to help them explain why the world was so dark at this time of year. The Celts believed that the year was split into two halves. The first 6 months, a figure called the Holly King would make the world a little bit darker so that people could focus on themselves and what they wanted to accomplish, focus on their dreams. And then at the winter solstice, a figure called the Oak King would take over. And he would make the world a little bit brighter so we could start doing work outside of ourselves, out in the world, in our community. My Druid tradition values moderation, the pursuit of a balance between inner work and outer work. Every year, this cycle will repeat itself in the Celtic pastoral communities. Have you ever wondered about the birth of the sun? It's a star, just like we've been talking about. Billions of years ago, scientists theorized that a gigantic cloud of space dust and gas was rotating so wildly that it collapsed in on itself. And 99% of it formed the sun. The other 1% became our solar system. Formed the Earth, the dinosaurs, humans, and here we are. Just a little bit of space dust and star in all of us. And we keep moving forward. The sun has long been a powerful symbol of hope. The light that dispels sadness, the light that illuminates truth and meaning, the light that warms our soul and brings us joy that the rest of nature can't possibly deliver in the coldest month. On Midwinter's Day, the resparking of the sun renews our faith. As spring will return to us, the world will be green again. To everything there is a season. Turn, turn, turn. Now what about another kind of nature? You see, when I was told to talk about finding joy in nature, I didn't think about just the trees and the rocks and the rivers. I thought about nature. The study of being is called ontology. there are some great ontological questions that we could ask ourselves. What is the nature of our universe? Who or what created us? And if we take the concept in the direction of existentialism, what is our purpose on this earth? Concept of ontological equality, big fancy word there, suggests people are created equal at birth by nature. Of course, sadly, people forget that. They grow up, they start to see the differences, they form opinions, and equity fades. So let's focus on the positive side of that. What if we just say, everyone is created equal by nature, period. There's a song by Joni Mitchell, which I have always loved. I don't know if there's any other Joni Mitchell fans here. All right, hey, I'm not alone. I hope you have heard the song Woodstock. It talks about she came upon a child of God walking along the road, and I asked him where he was going, and this is what he told. He said, I'm going down to Yazger's farm. Going to join a rock and roll band that camp out on the land and try to get my soul free. We are stardust, we are golden. I think we could name that band the Sing You. I don't know, I'm kind of biased. But I like to come here every Sunday and get my soul free. And that is our inherent nature. We are all part of nature. So when we celebrate nature, we have to celebrate ourselves. The same space dust that makes up our sun and the stars makes us. Guess that makes us all stars. At solstice, the sun is born again. It renews us, it gives us hope, and in the search for that hope, we find the warmth of joy. We are all stardust. We are gold. And we will keep moving forward. Thank you. Now it's time for our offering. Readers will please come forward.
In speaking of hope, to keep our congregation thriving, let's remember our connections to one another, and not forget our offerings to support the means to those connections. As we listen to a brief offering music, please click on the I in the upper right-hand corner of your screen if you are online. You can also donate through the Give Plus app on our webpage under the Giving tab, or by sending a check to the church office. For those of you here in person, one of the greeters will be around with a basket to give to you. Thank you.
I know you folks at home couldn't see that beautiful performance by Ryan. He's playing the organ in our balcony, and something about organ music always touches the soul, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now, if you would all like to join us, and we're going to do a call and responsive reading. Since we are talking through our Mass instead of singing, it is considered safe. I will read the first line. This is going to be number 437 in your gray hymnal. I'll read the first line, and Morgan will join you in leading the second line. I have altered our versions just a little bit, but I think you'll be able to follow along. I'll give you a chance to find that page there. 437. Oh, let us worship. All right. Here we go. Let us worship with our minds and senses and fingertips.
Let us love the world through heart and mind and body.
We feed our minds upon the mystery and revelation in the faces of our brothers and sisters.
We seek to know the wistfulness of the very young and the very old, the wistfulness of people in all times of life.
We seek to understand the shyness behind arrogance, the fear behind pride, the tenderness behind clumsy strength, the anguish behind cruelty.
All life goes into a great common life if we will only open our minds to our companions.
Let us worship, not in bowing down, not with closed minds and stopped ears.
Let us worship with the opening of all the windows of our beings and with the full outstretching of our spirits.
Life comes with singing and laughing, with tears and confiding, with a rising wave too great to be held in the mind and heart and body to those who have fallen in love with life. Let us worship and let us learn to love. And in closing, I want to bring us back to that beautiful, beautiful chant we heard at the beginning about seeking peace. It's from an unknown Gaelic author, and I offer these words of finding joy in nature. May you discover the serenity within, and as you connect with nature, may that feeling grant you new life and new hope. Deep peace of the running wave to you. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the shining stars to you. Deep peace of the infinite peace to you. Namaste, and blessed be. And we will now carry forth our light.
I would have to stay after school because I don't know that I remember the hand gestures, but hopefully some of you guys do, and I'll do my best. So, Rebecca's extinguishing the flame. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
hour in the hallway right here next to you if you want to join us. Bill is over there setting up the television for us now. So if you'd like to be involved, we invite you, or we can talk freely outside.